It's the Dreamscape Empyrean.
Welcome, everybody, to the greatest podcast of all time, Indian Synergy Exchange.
Yeah!
I am your host, Tanner Giese, the CEO and president of Tanner's Tales Entertainment, LLC. And joining me are my lovely co-hosts. First, my lovely wife, Katie Giese, poet and author. And my best friend, Frey Official, artist, multi-talented in many fields. And our last but not least, we have the very special Andromeda the artist, a musical talent like none other, exploring genres never before heard by human ears. And she also goes by the name Rachel Dumont, with her elegant bomb writing and other writings. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We are the Dreamscape Empyrean, and we wanted to start a podcast for indie people who are doing all sorts of indie creations. We want to talk about art and how it plays a part of our society now, how we want to kind of change people's perceptions about it, and how we want to rise up together, create a team to take down the mainstream. So, without further ado, we introduced ourselves now, a little bit briefly, but we're going to go more in depth. So, I guess we can start with Frey, why not? Frey, take it away.
Awesome. I am Frey. I've been doing art for a long time, ever since like 4th grade. I sell comics and prints, and I have board games. I do a lot of art stuff. I've been selling roughly for almost 20 years now. I kind of took a hiatus, and then I've just gotten back to doing it solo for the past like 4 or 5 years. So I'm currently Tanner's art person for his Pencil Man character that he'll go in more depth about. And I'm freelance, so if you want me to work on anything for you, freyofficial.com, and we can work something out. So
Very nice, Frey. How long? You said 4th grade, right?
4th grade I started drawing. I used to actually make like little comics for my friends, and I would sell them for like a quarter.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you've kept that passion up ever since.
I have. I've actually kept a lot of those characters too. I just put them in like a whole binder, and I kept the binder throughout the years. So a lot of my characters that are appearing on the screen, most of them are like old characters that I revamped.
Yeah, that's you.
That's me.
That is the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this beautiful art piece right there.
So that's someone's character.
Wow, Frey, what I'm seeing is an impressive repertoire.
that is the word, indeed.
I did. I
nailed
used a good word.
it. You see, awesome.
I see this as well. Do you want to tell me about what this is?
That is the official verse game. It is my first game that I created. It came out in, I think it was April. We launched it, and it is a tabletop fighting game. So you have cards with different characters on it. It's supposed to be played 2v2, but you can play 1v1. And the object is to move your characters across the boards to strategize and get in an area where you can attack your enemy. The arrows on each card indicate which direction you can attack and defend your characters, and has deck cards, kind of like Pokemon and stuff like that, where you can improve your character stats and heal status effects and cause more damage to your opponent, stuff like that. So
Very nice.
you can also get that on frayofficial.com.
Frayofficial.com.
Yes.
So that's really cool. So you don't just do traditional art, do you?
Right. I do traditional, digital. That's the only two forms. Yeah, traditional and digital.
Traditional and digital. And do you do any other things besides like drawing art?
I do a little music, but I haven't been focusing on it as of late. I do have a comic project that will be tied to music in the future, but it hasn't been organized yet. So I don't want to go into that right now because, still working the kinks out of that.
Very nice. Does anything else have questions for Frey?
Do you do any like painting and that sort of thing?
Ironically, I'm not that good at painting. I actually am not really good at painting at all. That's like my worst form, to be quite honest.
Interesting. So you do like pencil and marker and that sort of thing. Is that how you sketch things out?
Yes. Yep.
How long does it take for you to create a character?
Well, a lot of these characters are just old characters that I revamped, so usually they don't take me too long.
But
Say it again. I'm sorry.
how long does it take to draw the character? Like to complete one.
Like complete an actual character? All the way to coloring, I would say maybe like 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours. Inking and coloring, getting a pose down, all that stuff.
I've seen
You have
you do
such
the
a
sketch before.
distinct, really interesting style. I really love it. I mean, the colors are what really pops to me. And I just feel like every time you look at an image that you created, like it's yours. Like I can see it and think, oh, that's Frey's. It's a very it has a nice signature to it.
I definitely agree.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it definitely like highlights the characteristics and aspects of the character. I feel like you can look at the character in the image and it has a personality of its own.
Thank you.
Just through the drawings, you don't even have to look at the captions. You just kind of get a sense of the character just from the image.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's my whole thing. I try to make bold and then kind of stylish looking characters that you can kind of get like a sense where they're actually alive, like they have personality to them.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was getting from your images.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you another question, Frey. In terms of your art, do you have a why you do art? Because I don't know if I've ever asked you that question.
Let's see. Why do I do art?
That's a great question.
Outside of the money aspect, I like characters. I like so I have a lot of story ideas. I used to write a lot of stories when I was younger. And I've just always like drawing comics and getting those story ideas out there. I thought that would just be like the best medium for me. And then as I grew up, it became more about inspiring the people before me to actually pursue art. Because I started when I was 19 actually selling stuff with my best friend, but we made like a lot of mistakes. So now a lot of what I do is I try to talk to the younger people and make sure they don't do the same mistakes and they can actually become successful faster, and then they can prove to your parents. Because another thing was I wanted to prove to my parents that being an artist can be a sustainable like income. You can make a living off of it, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my why right now. Besides money, that's my other why. I want to inspire people to be like, you can make a living off of art and you can, succeed in this life and do what you want to do.
You don't
Um,
have to be a starving artist.
right. You don't have to be a starving artist. But I kind of do it in a more blunt way, as far as like, uh, a lot of people think like for example, I'll talk to younger people and they're like, I just want to do what I want to do, and they don't have a set plan to get there. So say they won't get a job or something, and it's like you need money to finance the things that you want to do. You can't just, yes, it's good to be in a like a positive mindset about everything, and that will inspire you to keep working. But at the same time, you need funds to make that reality come true. And I feel like a lot of younger artists don't get that. So I try to give them practical information instead of just pie in the sky. Everything's going to be great. Everything's just going to fall into place for you. It's like, no, we're going to give you some steps so we can make sure it can fall into place for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that take on that, Frank. You're very well spoken.
Lies.
I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I do think that one of the, Achilles' heels of a lot of artists is they get so stuck in their fantasy world that they don't have a foot in reality. They don't know how to make things a reality because they're just so imaginative and fantastical all the time. And so having that sense of reality, I think, is a huge asset as an artist.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I totally agree. But yeah, I like seeing, even though, and Tanner's been there with me, I get frustrated and I get annoyed when I see other people doing way better than me. I actually am happy that there seems to be more artists coming out and selling their stuff and just, getting out there instead of just, staying in their room and keeping it to themselves and not trying to actually pursue their dreams. So, yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. You're like Papa Frey.
I do give off strong dad vibes, I've been told.
I'm a dad.
And you're a dad, yes.
Do you have any?
I just had a quick thought
Sure.
that when you talked about artists not staying in their rooms as much and not keeping it to themselves. Thanks. Just think about creativity. That it's an art. It's meant to be shared.
Yeah.
And if you're not you necessarily, but even if an artist is more introverted, not like super crazy about being around people all the time, whatever. But if they have an artistic gift of some kind, a love of art, a certain form of it, it really is meant to be shared. Like it's not. I think that just the nature of art itself, it's not meant to be kept to yourself. At least not forever. Like there's an incubation period where you might need to keep it to yourself for a time and to brood over it and make sure it's going how you want. But at some point, whether you like it or not, it's gonna like unleash out of you. Like it will not be able to help itself.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. I think also it has to do with like a lot of like this generation coming up. They have like a lot of self-confidence issues and anxiety. So they feel like their work isn't good enough to be out there. And I try to like coach that a little bit too. Like you need to just get out there, because a lot of selling art right now, it's not exactly how your style is. It's, do the people actually like you, your personality and stuff like that. A lot of people will just buy stuff from you because they like you as a person. So I encourage them to get out there and like, sit at a convention for 5 hours and get that feeling of, sometimes it's not going to be the most profitable, but you do what you can with that time. But like, You have to get out there and you have to get your failures in to get to success. You can't just get out there and expect everything is going to fall into place for you. You got to
Nice.
keep going and going and fail. What's that quote? Like Edison, failed 1,000 times or something?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I found like 1,000 times where I didn't succeed or something like that. Something like that. Some quote like that. Don't, but anyway.
Quote.
It's Thomas Edison. He was talking about inventing a light bulb. But yeah, you have to get out there and fail and just keep trying and you'll get there. It's more about consistency and getting your face out there than, actually being so successful. Especially like a lot of them are like worried about like having a following before they get out there. And I'm like, I know so many people who have little followings. They'll have like 500 people and they go to the conventions and they'll like kill it. Like when we went to Zenkai Con, my friend Mike that was next to us, he only has like 600 followers, but it's like he goes to conventions and he made like the Zenkai Con, I think he made like almost $1,000. So it's like you don't have to worry about the following. It's just present your work, and if they actually like you as a person, and then people will naturally support you. Yeah.
The quote, by the way, I looked it up. Should I read it off? The quote says, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." It was Thomas Edison.
That one.
You're talking about? Yeah.
That's a great quote.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody, or do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Just go to freyofficial.com. All my stuff is there. Instagram, Facebook. Everything is basically Frey Official or Frey Official 1.
gotcha.
Yeah, nice. Definitely go check him out, guys. We're going to move on to the mysterious and elegant Andromeda.
Hi.
Andromeda, tell us about what you do.
So I've been doing music for about 5 years now, and initially it kind of started off when I lived in New York City, and I actually had an apartment that was overlooking the Macy's store in Herald Square, and there's this big sign that they have with a big star, and I remember sitting at my keyboard by the window and just improvising and just playing songs on the piano, and it just kind of grew from there, and I became just more adamant about it until I just started writing songs and wanting to do it more seriously. So I've been doing, music, like I said, for 5 years, and I would say it's kind of a blending of genres where it's somewhere, it technically is under the style of Baroque pop. If I think it's key. There's an official genre assigning company that actually assigns you a genre, and so that is my official genre is Baroque pop, which Baroque pop is kind of the style is it plays with a lot of unique instruments and orchestral instruments and that sort of thing, and so a lot of it is like orchestra music with synthesizer on top, and I like to incorporate sounds like the ocean and the waves. So yeah, I mean, I've been doing that, and I also am a poet and a writer. So I write at elegantbomb.com. Yeah, and my music is andromedatheartist.com.
What kind of writing do you do?
So I do a lot of poetry, but it's kind of stream of consciousness. It's not like a typical poem that has a lot of structure. It's much more kind of free verse. And I often will just write opinion pieces, and I have a book that I'm working on right now as well.
Very nice.
Nice. What artists inspire your music?
A lot of people have asked me that, and I think the honest answer is I grew up listening to more classical music. So I would say more movie scores was really my inspiration. So I love James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer, and Thomas Newman's probably what I'm closest to in terms of piano music.
Mhm.
But a little bit of Enya, maybe too.
Okay. Nice.
Ed, you talked about your music a little bit, but I want to also ask you, you have an album out,
Yeah, Firewater.
Firewater.
Yes, I do have an album out, Firewater. I just got CDs professionally printed, so that should be online soon once I can work out some of the kinks of it. And yeah, it's an album based around the ocean. It was really inspired by kind of the opposites within myself. You know, fire and water obviously are opposites, and I was blending kind of the simplicity of the piano and the intimacy of that sound with the grand scale of the ocean and just this big force that is very untamable and unpredictable and can't be controlled. So it felt like it was kind of getting into like under the layers of myself and just understanding how there's these two opposites within myself that blend together to create something that feels a bit like a juxtaposition, but I feel like it harmonizes itself.
Very nice. And I also wanted to ask you, why did you choose the name Andromeda?
Good question. I loved the constellations growing up, and when I was in high school, I took an astronomy class, and I really latched on to the story of Andromeda. And I think that I started to see myself in that parallel because at the time, you know, my life was very turbulent, and I saw the story of Andromeda is she's a princess who angers the gods because of her beauty, and the parents chain her to a rock at sea to sacrifice her to appease the gods. And I think the image of just that single woman on a rock was what I really latched onto, I think, because I love mermaids and I love, you know, The Little Mermaid. And at the time, I felt like I was in the middle of a raging sea and I was just kind of on this rock and I had just a very small little portion of solid earth to latch onto. And in my concept of the story, I just imagined that I kind of grew into a mermaid and could swim off and just embrace that wild unknown of the ocean. So, you know, since then, when I started to write music and started to take it seriously, I knew that Andromeda was the name for me. That was the only, you know, name that I ever even considered.
I love that.
Do you have like, so are your songs like kind of themed around that story, or are they more just your like personal songs?
So I don't usually write a typical song that's like based on, I guess, reality. You know, like a lot of songs today would talk about like, I went to the grocery, walking down the street or whatever. I think my songs are a little bit more conceptual. They're not necessarily directly based on Andromeda or Greek mythology, but they are based on, you know, like if I'm experiencing something, like if I'm having a very stressful week or if I'm reflecting on myself, where like Island of Atlas, for instance, I talk about how I have this part of me that always wants to be a little bit distant and a little bit away from people and reality. And I'm kind of reflecting on myself in terms of, why do I want to do that? Why am I distancing myself or kind of pulling myself away all the time? Another song like that is Set with Stars, you know. I'm set with stars, but I can always try to be yours. And so I think it's a lot of my music is a reflection on myself and what I see within myself. So, but, you know, with Firewater, I would say that there is a definite and obvious inspiration with the specific Andromeda story because it is based around the ocean. And so I did pull in those elements, and especially just with like the sounds in the background, I do have like the ocean in the background. There's one song that opens up with, it sounds like a horse running along the sand with a storm in the background of the ocean. And that is just kind of a nod to the Perseus and Pegasus character. So, Pegasus saves Andromeda with, he flies away with Andromeda on Pegasus. So that was just a nod to that. So I do like put little, nods to the story into it.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Thanks.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I didn't know the story of Andromeda, so I'm super relieved that she got saved. All I can think about was how depressing this story is. Dying on a rock in the middle of the ocean.
You'd be a little concerned with me if she just dies there.
I'm glad that's not the case.
Thank goodness
Pretty
you're
sad.
okay.
A lot of Greek stories are sad, though. I love Greek mythology because I was talking to you, Katie, about this, but I'm not the most sentimental person, and I was trying to reflect on why that is.
Mhm.
And I think it's really because I don't love a comfort zone. I love to kind of step out into like this wild unknown and even get thrown around in it a little bit. But like the adventure and the epic nature of Greek mythology is what really appeals to me. And, I think in contrast, I think that's why I have a hard time with, I guess everyday life. It's just because everything is so safe and so straightforward and almost monotonous for me. So I look for things in my art that are going to feel a little bit like it's going to shake things up, and it's going to give a sense of this grand, larger than life experience.
Love that.
That's very cool. Yeah.
On that note, you actually sent me a song to play. So I think now I'll take the time to play that quick for everybody. And we can talk about that song quick. Go ahead. Tell her.
Oh yeah, no, I just was listening to the song. Wait, am I supposed to call you Rachel? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because you've been saying Andromeda most of the time. That's why I was asking. All right. It was like super inspiring. Like I feel like I could put your music on, and kind of use your music as a springboard for like if I'm working on one of my stories or poems or something, that it would help facilitate that creation aspect.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
It was also kind of like that particular song, the at least that portion of it, because I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. But first of all, it makes me want to listen to the rest of it too. But that portion especially was really relaxing as well, like really peaceful for me, which I really enjoy songs that are like that.
Thank you.
Yes. It kind of sounds like ASMR. And I listen to like a lot of that before I go to bed. So it's very, very like comforting to listen to.
Nice.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, so tell us more about the inspiration for that song.
You're asking what the inspiration was? No, it's interesting because that song I wrote recently. It's the most recent one that I've done for my Andromeda project. And
Oh, wow.
And it just fell right out of me. You know, sometimes my fingers just kind of do all the work and my brain just it's just like in a different world. And my fingers just started moving and that was just the song that it's like I didn't even stumble with it. Just my fingers just started playing it. So I don't even know what I would say where that came from. You know, I think for me, a lot of the music and what's important to me is, you know, I do a lot of meditation, and I really feel that in American culture, we don't step into that part of our brain enough. You know, I think we're so focused on being very loud and kind of talking over each other and being the first one to be heard and the first one to be acknowledged and to just kind of push ourselves forward so much. And I think that sometimes there's something just as compelling as the polar opposite of that, which is stepping back and being less available and less obvious to people. And, you know, actually in your brain, if you when we go about everyday life, we're generally in our frontal lobe of our brain. So we're thinking kind of up here near the forehead, and it's, you know, just logic and just action-based thinking. And I like to try to pull myself back into the deeper part of my brain and to think a little bit more lucidly, like you would, you know, dream, the way dreams kind of work. And so I named the song Willows in the Wind because it's really about this ethereal kind of aerial nature. I think like this album that I'm writing this song for is called Glass Wings. And it's based around air. And this concept of air is so interesting to me because air is literally the most vital thing that we have for our bodies on Earth. And yet we forget it's there all the time. And I think that, you know, with the subconscious mind, it's very much like that too. We just don't take it seriously and we don't really acknowledge it, but it's probably the thing that drives us the most. And, you know, it's the reason why we might get impatient when we're at the grocery store and somebody stands too close to us, or the reason why we get irritated with so-and-so because they interrupted. You know, it really might not be such a big deal, but we're making it a big deal because of all of these other things in the back of our brain and kind of going on inside of us that we're not really reflecting on and we're not acknowledging or just detoxing ourselves from. And, you know, I think that having that sense of, I almost want to say purity in the work so that it feels like a breath of fresh air, or like with Firewater, the album, I wanted it to feel like being plunged into water. I just want this fresh feeling of like purifying yourself and, you know, a catharsis, because catharsis literally in Greek means to purify or to cleanse. And, you know, that's really what inspires my work is, and I think that's why I personally do it, is because it clears my head and it does clear kind of my spirit or my soul. I don't know if that sounds kind of strange, but you know, so much of today we're just looking at numbers and we're looking at physical things and we're just worried about those physical things. But I personally believe that if we step away and we calm down, then things in reality will work for us a little bit better.
That's beautiful advice.
Thank you.
Beautiful inspiration from Andromeda, aka Rachel.
Thanks.
I think it's funny because we all were like, yeah, we'll just call you Rachel, and we're all like, Andromeda.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I kind of feel more like Andromeda some days than I do feel like Rachel.
Is it like a double personality type thing? Because I know a lot about that.
Oh gosh. I'm not going to respond to that. I don't even know.
That's all right. Well,
I've got a split personality.
No, those are some beautiful and encouraging words, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, my music is on AndromedaTheArtist.com, and my writing is elegantbomb.com.
Definitely go check her out. Her writing is amazing.
Thank you.
Ray, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, he just...
Does he even know he's on mute?
Yes.
I was saying.
Leave that in.
Yes, leave that in. That was funny. I've checked out the music. The music's great.
Thanks.
I just haven't checked out the writing. I was just saying I'm gonna go to the writing site because I haven't gotten to the writing site yet. That's all I would say.
Thanks for checking it out.
Definitely.
That's awesome. All right. We have another one to meet here. The beautiful and lovely Katie Giese, my wife. She's my wife, and she's amazing.
What accent was that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say that every time you introduce me. Now, this is my wife.
This is my wife.
If I have to deal with the
If
I have to deal with the best friend thing,
And what was that?
if I have to deal with the he's my best friend thing, you have to deal with she's my wife.
Oh, yes. Speaking of that,
We can commiserate together.
oh, here we go.
No.
I had to put it in. Ray is my best bro. This is my best friend wife. This is my wife.
He's my wife.
Anyway, wifey poo. Would you like to tell us who you are and what you do? Hey, that rhymed. Don't attention.
That makes me want to say like everything I do.
Do it. Who are you?
I work full time. I'm a mom. I'm a wife.
My wife.
Of course, I'm a daughter. Yeah. But we're talking about art here, so honestly, I have a lot of interests when it comes to art. There's a lot I really want to do. I just haven't yet. But what I am trying to focus on at the moment is writing, because I feel like with my crazy life, that feels like the easiest thing to fit in right now, if I'm blunt. So, I do have a poem I'm going to share in a little bit, but, and you all know about this, but obviously the podcast viewers wouldn't know. So I am working on, I think, an illustrated novel of sorts is what I'm hoping for. I really like just regular writing as well. The ability to, as Brian Jakes would say, paint pictures with words. And
I like that guy.
I've always wanted to be able to follow through with that, with how I write. I think writing has always come at least a little bit easier to me than maybe some. Yeah, it's also been, especially when I was younger, but even, well, actually, maybe not. No, it's still, no, not especially, it still is. Yeah, super cathartic, like Rachel / Andromeda's music is for her, and probably her writing, I would imagine, too. Yeah, just being able to express thoughts with words on a page, to convey emotion and imagery, which again, so I do also write poetry as well. I have a dream of writing a book of poetry, and I had started one several years ago, but then I kind of misplaced my computer files, and I haven't figured out how to retrieve them, so it kind of sits on the back burner, but someday I'm gonna write another one, which it worked out because I think actually my focus for my other book of poetry will be more relatable, I think, for people nowadays, which I think is better than what I originally had. So anyway, but what I'm really working on right now is the illustrated novel. So I love Jane Austen, and So my illustrated novel is about 7 ladies in the Regency era who get magical superpowers to bring down this baddie, which, by the way, sorry, I can't tell y'all yet because it's too soon, but I have a great idea for the baddie that I can't wait to tell you later. Yeah, I love historical fiction and anime. So the reason it's an illustrated novel is because Jane Austen is amazing, and this guy right here got me into anime, and I love it. I love the grand, over exaggerated, entertaining colorfulness of anime. I love the ridiculous, long, almost never ending deep character build up for like almost every character. Like, I just love it. And so I was like, what if I could put the two together somehow? And at first I really didn't take it seriously. And then I thought, no, maybe I should actually try it and see. So I've just really been enjoying researching the Regency era because I'm a details person, and I think the more you can know about whatever form you're writing about, like whatever it is, whatever genre you're writing about, the more you know, I think the better your writing will be. So, also another plug for Fred. I have also asked him to draw for me for this illustrated novel because I saw not only his characters like before he started helping Tanner with his stuff, but then especially when he started helping Tanner with his stuff and seeing how Frey has brought what Tanner's doing to life, which I guess you need to still share about your stuff too, so I don't want to say anything, but also Rachel said earlier just how good your characters are, Frey, like how much personality they have and the colors, and that's exactly how I feel. So that's why I asked you to do, everything for mine as well. So anyway, so these 7 ladies are going to bring down the baddie in England, who is at the very least trying to take down England, if not the world, like most baddies try to do. So that's super short, but that is my current dream for my art, and I would love if somehow I could get my stuff done on my end in time for Frey to work on the art to have it ready by Jane Austen's turn the 50th anniversary of her birth, which would be December, I think, 16th, 2025. I believe. So we'll see. I'm gonna try. And then I'll show you my poem here. Now, heads up, this poem is very serious, but it's the only one I could find in my phone because I didn't have time to go through my mess and try to find one from like a physical journal or something somewhere because horrid mess everywhere else. So actually, I'm just gonna give a quick explanation for this because it's just so raw and serious. So, what I'm about to read is some musings on what I want to say, and something I've been going through, like in a deep, very deep place in myself, and I had this like little, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced where to help yourself process something, you see like something in your mind, like a picture that helps you process. So that's what this is. So this was like scary for me, and I actually don't really want to read this poem because of how raw it is, but it's all I got, so here we go. I always tend to end up being super honest and raw at some point. It just always happens. So here we go. I don't even have like an official title except like the first line is the title because I haven't figured out what to call it yet. All right, here we go. An example of Katie Geese's poetry. Okay. An image rises before me, and I do not like what I see. Sepia, gone sickly, is the only hint of color, if it can even be called that. A young girl in a simple dress, with long blonde hair, is standing at the edge of an ocean, whose tide is lethargic, and unnervingly calm. It is almost dead quiet. There's a partial skeleton exposed to her right, the blanched bones of some unknown creature. Overwhelming feelings of listlessness, stagnation, decrepitude, and emotional pain flood this place. This place is somewhere the girl doesn't want to be, but she feels trapped. She doesn't know how to get out. I begin sobbing, my body shaking violently, for the girl is someone I know well. She is me.
I feel like that
Very
deserves
nice.
a little bit of. Hold on a second.
That's all I got. I'm gonna end there on the dramatic pause.
Okay. In the future, if you do a poetry book, I can do like the illustrations for you.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie, that was amazing. I absolutely love that.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I see what you're saying about it being raw, but I wouldn't change it. I think it's perfect.
Oh, I wasn't going to.
Yeah, that's what's so good about it, is so raw. But the image, I think, alone is just beautiful and very, very melancholic, but it's just very beautiful, you know. And I think that you get the sense of the vulnerability in the poem, and I love what you had to say about the sepia, and I also loved the image of the bones, and I thought it was stunning.
You always have such a good way with words.
Oh yeah.
That is one thing I've always appreciated about your poetry. She's written many different types, and I've been lucky to hear them, like almost every single one that she's written, at least since we've known each other.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks a lot.
There's like an echo on you guys, I think.
Mm.
Did that go
It
away?
was Frey.
Oh.
I had to mute Frey.
Oh, okay. There we go. Fixed it. But yeah, that was.
You made me?
I had to mute you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm gonna buy external mic, like a clip-on mic.
Hey, this is just the first episode, so we're figuring this out. Grow with us, viewers.
We can edit, you know, parts out anyhow.
We like it no, I had to stop myself.
What?
Say it.
Yeah.
Say it.
I was gonna say we like it raw.
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. I got another audio clip for that. I am the king of Freudian slips.
It's fine.
That
So
doesn't help the case of what I just said.
And I just want to get back on track, Katie.
Yeah.
I really love what your ideas for the is it a graphic novel or is it a Jane Austen?
I do want to have a lot of imagery, but I want to try to see if I can have some blocks of text as well, maybe for portions that, you know, would be fine to not have drawn out. But I mean,
Yeah.
as in drawn, like physically drawn with pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still working out the balance there.
I think it's a great idea. I read Jane Austen first in high school, and Pride and Prejudice I thought was just absolutely amazing. Just probably the most witty writer I've ever read. And I just know there's so many people that love Jane Austen, but I just love the way that you're spinning the whole story with Jane Austen and the fandom and everything. I just think it's a great idea.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think.
Have you ever seen, I know this isn't the same, but it just reminded me of, is it Pride and Prejudice and Zombies?
I have not read it, and I've not seen the film adaptation. I don't like zombies, like at all in any capacity.
True.
Which is ironic because my illustrated novel has some serious gothic, if not like downright creepy, like undertones, which is so funny because like that's not really me, but I feel like it suits the story.
Yeah.
So it's weird. But
It really is. Yeah. So
yeah.
First of all, I thought the movie was amazing, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is just because I know so many people that loved that movie, and I think that there's this huge market for people that just want more Jane Austen things, like anything that is pertaining to that. But this is just such an original way to, bend the story and to make it your own. I think it's a great idea.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
And it's very a good atmosphere too, that era.
Yeah.
The gothic kind of, vibe that you were talking about.
I'm interested to see how like the kind of magical girl element comes in, where they like transform and stuff like that. I'm interested to see how you do that in that time period.
Yeah, definitely. We don't really have that for females so much. I mean, there's a lot of like male superheroes, but we need like girl power too. I feel like that's something that is untapped,
It's always untapped.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
We need badass women.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I deliberately have a lot of female characters.
Yes, you do.
Like I was reading something about I was looking up one of my many rabbit trails for Jane Austen. There was area like, oh, what did Jane Austen think about this? Thank you Google and AI. Really helps. There was something about what was I looking up? Oh, because I was trying to think about and look up. Well, how did it work for women of wealth back then? Like, how much power do they really have? How much influence and all this, and then there's one of the things I read about that one of Jane Austen's beliefs was kind of like, okay, this is a super major paraphrase, but like major paraphrase, not exact, but kind of the general idea was like, do as much as you can with what you have, kind of, I guess. And like, if you have influence, like use it for good, because she was Christian, all that. Yeah. Because I think most of England was, and still is, Protestant at the time. So, why did I say that? Oh yeah. So I have a lot of my female characters because I do have a realistic bent to me and to my writing and etc. So, speaking about reality check, I get that. So I'm trying to find the balance between like reality and imagination and like where do they meet. But realistically, a lot of my female characters kind of have to be middle or upper class so that they have the resources available to them to be superheroines at a time when women couldn't wear pants and they had to be covered up in daytime, and God forbid that they do anything, remotely unusual. So yeah, these women have to like fight the crime in London at night because they can't do it during the day. Yeah. And they have to a lot of them have to come from wealth and status and stuff. Because if not, like they wouldn't be able to do what they end up doing. Because a lot of them are kind of like outcasted a bit and are on the edge of society because they're just too out there. They're too scary. Like we can't handle it. They don't conform. So
yeah, I've always found it really refreshing when you have the female. As I think a lot of writers in that era, you think of Mary Wollstonecraft and you think of Mary Shelley and you think of Jane Austen and these writers who didn't conform to the time or didn't necessarily worry about getting married or doing the typical thing, which was basically forced upon women at that era. So it's very inspiring to see women who were brave enough to do something different and to potentially be ostracized or criticized for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I love about Jane Austen specifically, is she was just such a trendsetter for women. You know, she was ahead of her time. Virginia Woolf, you know, just some of these writers just were really inspiring to me. And so it's I feel very appropriate to make these female characters that are stronger. You know, I think even Elizabeth Bennet, her character was a stronger character. She spoke her mind, she got dirty, you know, she was willing to get messy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so appealing about Elizabeth Bennet. And I think we just want more of that. You know, we just want more to expand upon that.
Yeah.
So, I'll bring it back in here.
Mm-hmm.
Just one last question I wanted to ask you. What is, like, your reason to do your form of art? Do you have, like, a why?
I mean, I basically echoing what Frey and Rachel have already said. It's a combination of, I just love this.
Mm-hmm.
I love the act of writing. I love how creative it is, how I can build my own story and world, and yeah, it's kind of hard to explain in English actually, but so yeah, writing for me is a very all around experience. Like, I'm using my mind, I'm using my soul and spirit, like my physical, like, being, like, all of me is involved in some way in this process. So it's just like a wholehearted self-expression, really, that I just, it's just joy to me to do it. It's just pure joy. And I think it's worth sharing, and that's a big deal for me, because I've spent most of my life not sharing myself like I probably should be. Or, well, I shouldn't say should. Yeah, I've just spent too long not sharing, and I'm working on changing that and sharing more. So working on this story is a way for me to do that, to practice sharing. Yeah, that's it. It's joy to do it. So I do it because I love it, and I feel more myself when I'm doing it, and I just want to share it. Like, I just want to produce something that will reach people and mean something to them, and obviously entertain them because of what I'm going for with the illustrated novel and everything. So, yeah, that's basically it, I think, for that.
I love it.
Yeah, beautiful. And where can they find you for the podcast listeners?
Oh,
I know you don't really have as many of the social medias.
I don't know. You can find me on Facebook. I guess.
Yeah, do you have a TikTok?
I kind of, but I haven't had the time or energy to do anything with it. So I did start a TikTok called, wait, it's TikTok, right?
Yeah.
I already forgot what it was. It's been a while since I've done anything with it. It's called A New Day with Lamona Gray, because I was gonna, like, have my pen name be Lamona Gray, which I still kind of want to do, but I haven't. I, like, wanted to make it this other, like, kind of extension of me, like you've done with Andromeda, like you've done with Free Official, etc. And I just haven't had the time to, like, invest in like I want to, but maybe at some point I will. But yeah, that's my TikTok, but there's not much on there, but it exists. But yeah, so I guess A New Day with Mona Gray. That's Lemona, and then I think I spelled Gray with an A, G-I-Y.
I think so.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Kate. That was wonderful.
Very awesome.
I guess
Don't you have an IG too?
yes.
I'm sorry?
You do have an
You have an Instagram?
I do, but I don't remember what it's. Oh,
It's lemon.
I think it's Lemon with Wings for
Okay.
Instagram, which again I'm hardly ever on, but it exists, so you can find it.
Definitely go check her out. She's an amazing person.
Yeah.
And
She is. She is.
And we've also passed our hour mark.
It's all right. We'll make this
We
quick.
gotta get to Tanner. I mean, it's the first episode. We gotta do it justice.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Peel it out. See how
It's the mega jam-packed first edition episode that is 2.5 hours
No.
long.
I can't step that late. I've been up since 4:45 a.m.
Mm.
No thanks.
The rest of us can party and you can go back. I'm kidding. Well, hello. I'm Tanner Geesey. I am the owner of Tanner's Tales Entertainment, the creator of Number 2 Pencil Man. Definitely check this out. Let me pull up some stuff here. Share screen. So, we shall go to this first. So, I am a content creator, author, visual artist. I do some art, and unfortunately, it's not what I'm doing primarily at this moment. Content creation is kind of how I got started again. As a kid, I used to draw all the time. I always had pencil, paper, all sorts of drawing equipment with me pretty much everywhere I went. And it was just something I just loved to do. I would draw various characters from different stories that I would like read and movies that I'd watch. I was really into Star Wars. Very, very active imagination as a kid. But I also like to imitate that art in my own kind of way, which as a kid it wasn't super impressive. But, you know, as I grew up, I did get better with art. But yes, I have a love of stories. I always wanted to tell stories in a creative way. When I was a kid, I used to do this thing where I would draw comics. My dad would fold printer paper and staple it together for me, and I'd just draw on it. And I had a bad habit. I would never finish an actual book. I would just draw like 2 or 3 pages in it, and then I'd try to sell it for like $5 to $10. Yeah, that was kind of like my intro into comic. I would call them comic books, you know. I would like draw like 2-3 scenes in it, and then I'd get tired of it and just kind of walk away. I don't know why. I always was creating, always drawing, and as I grew up, I guess I just kind of lost that spark, and it took me some time, but about 2 years ago, I finally realized that what I wanted to do was everything I wanted to do as a kid, you know? I wanted to create stories. When I was in middle school especially, I also got really into YouTube because YouTube was in its kind of golden age. You had like Smosh doing all the skits, and I really liked that form of storytelling as well. So I had always wanted to be a YouTuber, and we've tried multiple times in the past with not so great success. My first group of YouTube friends, we were the Multi-Flaming Cows, and it was just a bunch of middle schoolers. We didn't know what the words meant. We just were like, oh yeah, fire cows, it's awesome. We did like 3 or 4 skit videos, and then it just kind of all fell apart. Like the others didn't want to continue. I was like the only one who was like, yeah, let's keep going. And everybody's like, I don't know. And I just, you know, being a very impressionable teenage kid, I was just like, well, I guess this is dumb if everybody else thinks it's dumb, and I kind of stopped. I gave up on it. And just recently, about 2 years ago, I went through this whole thing where I had been dead to all my dreams. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of lost the spark of creativity, and a series of events just kind of unfolded, and it reawoken the passion inside of me to create different content, to give it one more shot. And that started with Tanner's Tales Entertainment YouTube channel. I launched the YouTube channel mid, I think July, June of 2022. And I started with like a prologue. And let's see, can I pull up my videos? Here we go. So it started with a prologue video, and then I did Buns of Graphite and Number 2 Pencil Vision, which is where our hero, Number 2 Pencil Man, originates from. It is a true story about what happened to me in 2nd grade, where I sat on a pencil and I decided to turn that into a superhero origin story. And little did I know that that whole event would turn into something bigger, and through YouTube that a character would come from it. So Number 2 Pencil Man is here now, and he is, I guess he's here to stay. But that was followed by a bunch of fun little skit videos that I did, like The Guardian of the Cereal Box Treasure, and To Shave or Not to Shave, and a whole bunch of others. Also, an actual live-action adaptation of Number 2 Pencil Man, which is kind of the pilot for the comic book. And all of that just kind of culminated into this right here, which, it's been super awesome, the whole story, and actually now getting to have an actual comic book that I wrote and actually complete it through and through. There's not just one page in this thing, and I'm not trying to sell this thing for like $5. It's got gorgeous art, thanks to that man there, Frey Official. My best friend. He's my best friend. Every time I refer to Frey, I will say he's my best friend. It's a bromance. Yeah. He's hiding. He's hiding, but he can't hide from my love. So it just kind of started with the YouTube channel and kind of gradually just continued to evolve. I have found my passion to create again. I have all these fun ideas for not just books, but other skits I want to do.
All the time, people.
All the time, yes.
All the time.
She could tell you. Well, I'll be like thinking about something and I'll be like, Katie, what about this kind of storyline? Like,
Dear, we need to go to bed.
Yeah, and she's...
But it's such a good idea.
Yeah, like, I gotta flesh this out right now. Kind of like Frey's gift for original characters, I have the gift of never-ending, like, stories.
Yeah.
And I gotta figure out what to do with it, so, I'm grateful. Like I said, one thing led to another, and now I actually have a business where I get to create stories, hopefully, for a long time. Next Walt Disney, hopefully. Gonna try.
Yeah. Sorry. Really bad yawn there. Excuse me.
Alright.
So Tanner, I'm just curious. So that story about you sitting on a pencil, that was what inspired the Pencil Man?
Yep.
That's so amazing that just that one story. It's a crazy story.
For the longest time, I used to be so embarrassed of that story. My parents didn't let me live it down, They sat with me through the whole process. Like, I sat on it. I went out swimming that day, and when we got back from the creek, we were trying to, change clothes, but all the rooms in the house it was my friend's house, they were taken up. So I had to change in the car, and I forgot that I had put a pencil in the seat face up. And, so I sat on it. It didn't hurt. I get asked that question a lot, so podcast listeners, do not worry. It did not hurt. It did not go where most people insinuate that it went. It did not, okay? It was off the mark, so thankfully, nothing like that happened. It did tickle. And when my dad saw it, he pulled out the car, tire first aid kit where you get, the tire patches, and he, patched it right up until we could get to the ER. Then when I got to the ER, all the nurses and the doctors made fun of me a little bit, but it was okay. So, well, when I told
Tanner,
what was that?
it probably made their day. They probably thought, man, this is a great day. A kid sat on a pencil.
They probably never forgot me.
Just a tangent. My brother actually, when he was in woodshop, he was with the scroll saw. It's like that really thin blade. It broke and it shot directly up his nostril.
Oh.
And I talk about the aim of that, and it literally was in his nose, hanging out of his nose. He had to go to the hospital for it. Anyhow, that's what I mean.
That sounds. He could turn himself into a bandsaw character type thing if he wanted to.
Yeah.
We could make that a thing. We could put that in the comic.
You could. That day that I met you 2 years ago at the mall.
Yes.
Was that your first time wearing that Pencil Man outfit outside of the video?
No, that was the second. So actually, the first time is when I met Rachel.
I was wondering if it was.
Yeah, that was the first convention that I went to, Hershey Comic Con in 2022, when I was like, I'm going to dress up as my character to promote my YouTube channel. And there we met Rachel. She was there with, like, all her, well, I guess you had, like, some of your music stuff and, like, some of your artwork and prints.
Yeah. I feel honored to be the first. I do remember that. I mean, I think that the costume was it's such a standout. Like you come with this costume and you have to comment on it and just be like, what's your deal? What's up with this costume?
I find that it's actually a really good icebreaker a lot of times. It does all the work for me. People are like, oh, Pencil Man. I'm like, yes, number 2 Pencil Man at your service. And then I can kind of go into like a whole thing, and it really helps me like open up and connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it is kind of funny because I didn't think about it because we met Rachel, and then like I think a month or so later when the second con came up, which was in the mall in Harrisburg, that's when I met Frey. I didn't buy anything from Frey, but I followed him.
That was the start.
It was the start.
That was the beginning of the end.
But yeah, that was like the second time. Like, yeah, number 2 Pencil Man kind of drives my whole brand now. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a whole pencil thing, but now it's like, you know what? We were talking about how things fall into place. It's like, yeah, I took the first step by making a YouTube video, and I was like, I don't want to just tell this story in a boring way where I could just stand in front of the camera and talk. It's like, no, I'm going to get a costume, and I'm going to get, like, a superhero get-up, and we're going to make this a superhero origin story. And then, like, the rest just kind of came after that. It's just like, all right, I guess I'm going to be a pencil for the rest of my life, and I can accept this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else is in store for me, but I'm here for it. Like, at this point, I'm going to have the comedic type life that,
Wait, and you have like so many people coming up to get pictures with you too, right?
Very many. Actually, let me see here. I think I actually have another thing pulled up. Do I have it up yet? Yeah, look at this. Yeah. There's the costume. Just so you guys know, it has gone through a lot of transformation. We actually put a frame up here in the eraser, so it's not just like flat anymore and doesn't get like all smushed. There's a little bit more stability, but yeah, I do lots of fun little things. But there's a little bit of the whole costume. I go out to cons dressed up.
Do you have any pictures?
So it's like,
where people are getting pictures with you.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, I think the first time when I was at Hershey, I don't think I have any pictures from it on this profile. The first time in Hershey, after we met you, Rachel, there was a whole girls' soccer team that came up to me, and they all got their picture with me.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was funny, because it was like my first time ever doing that. Oh, there's little Xavier. Look at that. Yeah, I've done events as the pencil now for kids and charities, like this autism show it was a car show, but I did kind of like build your own capes, become your own superhero.
Oh, that's a great idea.
There's some amazing art that Frey made for me.
That's awesome.
Look at that one. Frey did that.
Cool.
More Frey art. And then I, did another event with other superheroes. So there's the Masked Mullet and Raina, who's a good friend of ours. Her name is Grace. And there's me. And I'm trying to see hey, look, there's Frey. Frey's back there.
Hi, Frey.
Look, Frey. He's my
I
best.
show up every now and then.
Yeah, he was mad at me that day.
Oh,
Yeah, so I do all sorts of stuff dressed as the pencil now. It's kind of my main thing. I have fan art. This was actually my first piece of fan art that somebody made.
that's awesome.
She went on to make the variant cover for my actual comic book, issue 1. So that was really cool. T-shirts. Oh, yeah. So that's a little bit about the pencil. That kind of is my life now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Tanner, like just watching your stuff on YouTube, the thing that stands out to me is just kind of this, it's got this energy about it, this playful energy that just is just very entertaining, and everything has kind of this quirky, almost satirical bend to it. So like the humor is surprising and it's refreshing. It's very entertaining.
That means a lot to me. I wanted to do fun content, and part of that is, I guess, I have low confidence in myself about being a fun person. I always feel like I have.
What?
Ridiculous.
It's
That's like surprising.
it's actually
I
one of
know.
my
So ironic, right?
it's one of my insecurities. I guess it's because all my life, I've had friends just kind of always call me like the fuddy-duddy guy who, it's not that I'm not into fun. It's just they always kind of looked at my way of having fun as being like stupid and
What?
it. So
It's so opposite of how I think of you. It's just so confusing.
I know, but this
You're a very
is.
fun person to me.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work and growing over the last couple of years, and I've been able to really find like I am a fun guy, and I can be fun, and it doesn't matter what people think. And just me being able to do what I'm doing, I think, is definitely a big step up in the self-confidence department. It's like I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I was fun, or I wouldn't be doing this if I don't have confidence in myself. So it's been a big growth area for me, and I'm grateful to be at this point where I'm at now. So
If it makes you feel better, I personally think the way you have fun is weird, but that's why I like hanging out with you because it's unique.
Yeah,
It's
I
fun.
think that's what's it's quirky, but I think that's what's so refreshing about it. It's different.
that means a lot.
It's not. Yeah, it's not something that you would see typically. And I feel like so much of like what you see online these days is kind of recycled all the time. Like there's a trend,
Right.
and then everybody gets on the trend, and it's just all do it. It's like, oh, we're all going to do this one prank, and it's just this is very original content.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think out of all of us, you kind of have the strongest like cross appeal, like into like popular society, because Pencil Man is like can be kids, it can be for teens, it has a little adult flavor to it, like, and it's just like a strong image. When you see a superhero that's a pencil, it's like everybody's gonna instantly gravitate towards that. So I think your branding is really good
Yeah, I agree.
for your character.
well, thank
Definitely.
you. Yeah. Another thing that I do with Number Two Pencil Man, I forgot to mention this, is I do kind of like pencil pep talks, I call them, but I do a lot of motivational content. So this will get into kind of my why for creating, because like I said, for me it was a whole journey. I kind of lost the spark, but I feel like I lost my spark for creativity when I tried to like blend into society, tried to be liked, tried to, I don't know, just go through the motions, and that's when I felt the most dead, if I'm being quite honest with myself. And yeah, and yeah. So what I want to do, since I found myself again and found the spark, and it's been like reviving me in a way, I want to share that energy with others, share that passion, inspire others to rediscover who they are, what their dreams are, their passions, and really encourage them to go for it. Because a lot of us spend our times kind of just not doing those things for one reason or another. Either society has gotten to us, or we get to ourselves. And I just want to kind of help break through those barriers that are keeping people like stagnant, help them really get passionate about their life again, get passionate about what they're doing, and just kind of share that. So yeah, that's kind of my why for doing what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think a lot of people have a lot of doubts. It's what Frey was saying too. People they don't think that their work is good enough, or they just don't know how to get themselves started. And I think, I don't know. I mean, I think that if people had more confidence, it would be easier. But it is hard because in the world around you, it's built to be a practical world, and art is not one of those things that people see as practical. And so we need people who are kind of bridging the gap between the artists and the audience, society in general, just to say, we're actually important, we're here, and we're relevant. And, what we have adds flavor to your worlds and to culture in general. And I think when there's so much of this pragmatic world where it's just like, well, you have to
just make money and you just have to have this 9 to 5 job and you just have to do these 4 things and then, you're set. I think that's why we have a lot of depressed people in the world and a lot of people that don't sleep well, a lot of people who are anxious. And, art can become the medicine, it's the remedy for those things. And that's what you are doing through your art when you give your pep talks, but also just representing what you do, just kind of breaking away from the norm and to say, here I am. And like really your story in general is really what you're trying to help other people do, where you yourself kind of lost that spark, right? That's what you said. And a few years ago, but then you said, no, I'm going to actually fight for something that is important, and this art is important. And I think that's what people need to see.
That's actually like a great segue into kind of like what we want to do as a group. So
And we really have to wrap it up.
yeah.
Hey Tanner, real quick,
Yes.
would you mind showing us one of your pep talks from your Instagram reels?
Yes. Actually, let me do that quick. Let me get onto my page first on Instagram. Just take just a second to set this up. Because I wasn't anticipating going to number 2 Pencil Man's. There we go. Alright, cool. Do you have one that you specifically want to see, Frey?
Either one that you think is like a really good example of what you do.
Okay, give me 1 second. Alright. Maybe I should just do the one that kind of started it all. Yeah, we'll do this one. Number 2 Pencil Man here, and wait a minute. Are you sad? Frustrated? Maybe even upset? No, we can't have that. Let me help you out, friend. I'm gonna erase that frown of yours, and we'll draw in a bright, beautiful smile. That's better. Remember, friends, life can be tough sometimes. It can be hard, and it's okay to be upset. But always keep your head up and never lose hope. There's always something to look forward to. Me, personally, I look forward to seeing you achieve every one of your dreams. Never give up and hang in there, friends. Number 2 Pencil Man, out.
Very nice.
Yes. So that was kind of the one that started, well, that was, I think, the first one I did this year when I really started doing the pencil pep talks on TikTok and Instagram. So, yeah.
I love it.
Speaking of which, you can find me on basically pretty much every platform. So on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for the business, it is Tanner's Tales Entertainment. On TikTok, I am Number 2 Pencil Man. So, and I have an Instagram for Number 2 Pencil Man as well, also titled Number 2 Pencil Man. So, you can find all that on there.
Cool.
But yes, we are, all 4 of us, make up the core of the Dreamscape Empyrean. And maybe in the next episode we can kind of go into our mission statement.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Maybe we'll have a topic too.
Yes, we will pick a topic for the next episode. So,
Yeah, I like it.
but yes, this is who we are. We are a group of amazing creators that are indie, and we have the synergy, and we're exchanging it with you and each other. Hence the name. So hopefully you enjoyed watching this first episode of, or listening if you're an audio listener, of Indie Synergy Exchange. Join us next week for our why, of why we are doing this podcast and why we are banding together as the biggest indie collective in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stay tuned, everybody.